My name is Sophia Reyes, and at 29, I was barely holding it together. I'm a single mom to Mia, my 5-year-old firecracker with curly brown hair and a laugh that could melt the coldest day. We live in a cramped, one-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill. Seattle, the kind where the walls are thin, the heat barely works in winter, and the rent keeps climbing faster than my paycheck. I waitress at a busy upscale bistro downtown, pulling double shifts whenever I can, feet aching. Smile plastered on even when my soul feels drained. Tips are decent on good nights, but after daycare, groceries, and the endless pile of bills, there's never enough left over. December had been brutal. The landlord, Mr. Hargrove, a sour-faced man in his 60s, had slipped another rent increase notice under my door. $200 more a month, effective January 1st. I stared at that paper for hours, heart pounding, calculating numbers that refused to add up. I'd already picked up every extra shift, sold what little jewelry I had left from better days, and cut every corner imaginable. Mia's Christmas list simple things like a new doll and art supplies sat untouched on the fridge. Mocking me. It was December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, when the knock came. Mia was napping on the couch after a long day at preschool, her favorite stuffed bunny clutched tight. I was at the kitchen table, surrounded by overdue notices, trying not to cry. The knock was firm, deliberate, not the usual timid rap of a neighbor or delivery person. I wiped my face, smoothed my worn sweater, and opened the door a crack. Standing there was a man I'd never seen before. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a tailored charcoal overcoat that screamed money. Dark hair slightly tousled from the wind. Piercing blue eyes that locked onto mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. He couldn't have been older than 35, with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass and a presence that filled the narrow hallway. In his gloved hand, he held a sleek black umbrella dripping onto the worn carpet. Sophia Reyes? His voice was deep, smooth like expensive whiskey poured over ice. I nodded slowly, gripping the door. Yes. Can I help you? He glanced past me briefly, as if assessing the space, then returned those eyes to mine. My name is Damian Voss. I believe we need to talk. My stomach dropped. Collection agency? Landlord's new enforcer? I'd heard stories of wealthy building owners sending representatives to pressure tenants. If this is about the rent, it is. He interrupted gently, raising a hand. But not in the way you think. I hesitated, then stepped aside. Come in, but keep your voice down, my daughter's sleeping. He entered, removing his coat to reveal a crisp white shirt that hugged his athletic frame and dark slacks. That fit perfectly. He hung the coat neatly on the back of a chair, movements precise, controlled. The apartment suddenly felt smaller, shabbier. Mia stirred on the couch but didn't wake. I gestured to the tiny kitchen table. Coffee, tea? I don't have much else. He shook his head, sitting only after I did. I'm fine, thank you. He leaned forward slightly, elbows on the table, eyes never leaving mine. Ms. Reyes, Sophia, I own this building. My heart stopped. You what? Mr. Hargrove sold it to me 3 weeks ago. Quiet transaction. I've been reviewing the tenant files. He paused, studying my reaction. Yours stood out? I laughed bitterly. Yeah, I bet. The one who's always late. He didn't smile, but his expression softened. The one working 2 jobs to keep her daughter in a safe home. The one whose tips dropped after the bistro cut weekend brunch shifts. The one facing eviction in 9 days if January's rent isn't paid in full. I stared, throat tight. You've been spying on me? Researching. He corrected. I make it a point to know who lives in my properties, especially when I'm considering changes. The word hung heavy. Gentrification. Renovations. kicking out long-term tenants for higher-paying ones. I'd seen it happen to friends. I straightened my spine. Look, Mr. Voss, I'm doing everything I can. If you're here to give me a deadline or raise the rent again, I'm here to offer you a place to live. He said calmly, rent-free. I blinked. Once, twice. What? He reached into his coat pocket, producing a sleek folder and slid it across the table. Inside were photos of a stunning townhouse in Madison Park, 3 bedrooms, modern kitchen, backyard with a small garden, views of Lake Washington. My hands trembled as I flipped through. This is yours if you accept my proposal. I laughed again, sharper this time. There's no such thing as free, Mr. Voss. What's the catch? His eyes darkened slightly, something unreadable flickering there. I need someone to live in my home. With me. For appearance's sake, my pulse raced. You want me to be your fake girlfriend or something? He tilted his head. Not exactly. I'm hosting a series of holiday events, Christmas Eve dinner tomorrow night, New Year's gala, a few investor meetings. My family and business associates expect me to have settled down, a stable relationship, a family man. He glanced toward Mia, voice softening. You and your daughter would provide that image. I stared at him, mind reeling. You're asking me to pretend we're together in front of your rich friends? For 3 months, he clarified. Through the end of February. After that, the townhouse is yours to keep, free and clear. No strings beyond the public appearances. Separate bedrooms. Complete privacy when we're not on. I shook my head slowly. Why me? You could hire an actress, someone polished. His gaze intensified. Because you're real, authentic. People will believe it. And he paused, choosing words carefully. I've seen how hard you fight for your daughter. I respect that. Silence stretched between us. Mia murmured in her sleep, shifting on the couch. I looked at her, my whole world, and felt the weight of every unpaid bill pressing down. What exactly would I have to do? I asked quietly. Attend events on my arm? Smile? Let people assume we're a couple. Mia would come to family-friendly ones. In private, we remain strangers if you wish. I'll cover all expenses, clothes, childcare, everything. I swallowed hard. And if I say no? He met my eyes steadily. Then nothing changes. I won't evict you. The rent increase stands, but I'll give you until March to catch up. It was mercy wrapped in temptation. But the townhouse photos burned in my mind, space for Mia to run. A real bedroom, security. I closed the folder. I need to think. Of course. He stood, pulling a business card from his wallet, thick, embossed. Simple. Call me by tomorrow morning. The dinner is tomorrow night. If you agree, a car will pick you up at 4 for shopping and preparations. He moved to leave, pausing at the door. Sophia. I looked up. This isn't charity. It's a business arrangement. But it could change both our lives. Then he was gone. The scent of his cologne, cedar, and something expensive lingering like a promise. I sat there long after, staring at the card. Damian Voss, billionaire tech investor. I Googled him once, curious about the new owner rumors. Reclusive, ruthless in boardrooms. Never photographed with a woman longer than one event. And now he wanted me broke, exhausted. Single mom, me to play his girlfriend. Mia woke an hour later, rubbing her eyes. Mommy. Who was the tall man? I pulled her into my lap, kissing her curls. Someone who might help us have a better Christmas, baby. That night, I barely slept, weighing pride against survival. By dawn, with Mia's sleepy smile in my mind and the townhouse photos still on the table, I picked up the phone. Hello, Mr. Voss? It's Sophia. I'll do it. His voice was warm, almost relieved. Excellent. The car will be there at 4. Welcome to the arrangement, Sophia. Little did I know how breathless his next offer would leave me. The car arrived precisely at 4, a sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows and a driver, who introduced himself only as Charles. He held the door open while I buckled Mia into the booster seat they'd thoughtfully provided. She was wide-eyed, clutching her bunny, wearing the nicest dress I could find in her drawer, a red velvet one from last Christmas. That still fit. I'd spent the morning packing a small overnight bag, heart hammering the entire time. What was I doing? Selling my dignity for a roof? But then I'd look at Mia humming happily, oblivious to the stakes, and remind myself this was for her. We drove across the floating bridge to Medina, the enclave of billionaires on the east side of Lake Washington. The townhouse mansion was everything the photos promised and more. Modern glass and steel, 3 stories, nestled on a private lot with manicured lawns dusted in light snow. Christmas lights twinkled along the eaves, tasteful and understated, the kind that cost more than my annual salary. Damian greeted us at the door himself, sleeves rolled up on a charcoal sweater that clung to his broad chest, dark jeans completing the casual yet expensive look. His eyes softened when they landed on Mia. "You must be the princess I've heard about," he said, crouching to her level. He produced a small gift bag from behind his back. Inside was a beautifully illustrated children's book about a brave little fox and a set of professional watercolor pencils. Mia's gasp was worth every ounce of my anxiety. "Thank you, Mr. Damian," she chirped, hugging the book to her chest. He smiled genuine, warm, and glanced up at me. "Welcome home, Sophia." Home. The word hit harder than expected. He gave us a quick tour while actual staff took our bags. The kitchen was a chef's dream, marble islands, sub-zero appliances. A pantry bigger than my old apartment. Mia's room was on the 2nd floor, already furnished with a canopy bed. Stuffed animals arranged just so, and a window overlooking the lake. My room was adjacent. Elegant neutrals with an ensuite bathroom that had a soaking tub big enough for 2. His master suite was at the opposite end of the hall, privacy assured as promised. "Tonight's dinner is small," he explained as we settled in the living room with its soaring fireplace. "My sister Victoria, her husband, my aunt Eleanor, and 2 business associates. They're traditional. They've been pressuring me to settle down for years. Your presence will quiet them." I nodded, nerves jangling. "What's our story?" "We met 6 months ago at a charity gala for children's literacy. You caught my eye across the room. We've been keeping things quiet because of the media attention I get. Mia is the delightful surprise that sealed it for me." He recited it smoothly, like he'd practiced. "Keep it simple. Hold my hand when it feels natural. Let me handle the details." A stylist arrived at 5 petite, efficient, with racks of designer gowns. She dressed me in an emerald silk dress that hugged my curves without being vulgar. Off the shoulder, floor length with a subtle slit. Heels, diamond studs on loan, she assured. Hair swept into an elegant updo with tendrils framing my face. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself, polished, beautiful, like someone who belonged here. Damian's reaction when I descended the stairs was worth the discomfort. His eyes darkened, raking over me slowly. "You look breathtaking," he murmured, voice low. He offered his arm, and the heat of his body through the fabric sent a shiver down my spine. Guests arrived at 7. Victoria tall, blonde, impeccably groomed, embraced Damian warmly, then turned assessing eyes on me. "So this is the woman who finally tamed my brother." Her smile was polite, but her gaze sharp. I smiled back, channeling every ounce of waitress charm. Guilty, though taming might be a strong word. Laughter rippled, tension easing. Aunt Eleanor, silver-haired and kind-eyed, adored me on sight. scooping her up for stories by the fire. The business associates, older men with trophy wives, nodded approvingly at the family man image. Dinner was served in the formal dining room: roasted duck, truffle risotto, wines I couldn't pronounce. Damian's hand rested on the back of my chair, thumb occasionally brushing my bare shoulder. Each touch ignited sparks I tried to ignore. Conversation flowed: business, holidays, subtle probing about our future. And when's the wedding? Victoria asked over dessert, eyes gleaming. Damian's fingers tightened slightly on my shoulder. We're enjoying the engagement for now, he said smoothly. Under the table, his other hand found mine, lacing our fingers. The life felt dangerously real. Later, as guests mingled with after-dinner drinks, he pulled me aside into the shadowed hallway. You're doing beautifully, he whispered, breath warm against my ear. They're completely convinced. I tilted my head up to close. It's not hard when you look at me like that. His eyes dropped to my lips. For a heartbeat, I thought he might kiss me. Instead, he stepped back as footsteps approached. Mia fell asleep on the couch midway through gifts. Damian carried her to bed himself, tucking her in with surprising gentleness. I stood in the doorway watching, chest tight. When he emerged, he paused. She's perfect, he said quietly. You're an incredible mother. The praise warmed me more than it should. Guests left around 11, effusive with holiday wishes and invitations. When the door closed on the last one, silence descended. Just us, the crackling fire, and the weight of pretense. I kicked off the heels, sighing. So, mission accomplished? He loosened his tie, pouring two glasses of amber liquid from a decanter. Beyond, Victoria texted already. She's lovely. Don't screw this up. He handed me a glass. To successful deceptions. We clinked and the scotch burned smooth down my throat. I wandered to the massive windows overlooking the snow-dusted lawn and dark lake beyond. This place is unreal. Thank you for Mia's room, the gifts, all of it. He came to stand behind me, close enough that I felt his warmth. It's nothing. You earned it tonight. Silence stretched, charged. I turned, meeting his gaze. What happens now? When we're alone? His jaw tightened. Whatever you want. Boundaries are yours to set. The air thickened. My pulse thrummed. Months of exhaustion, loneliness, and now this man powerful, gorgeous, looking at me like I was the only woman in the world. I took a step closer. And if I don't want boundaries tonight? His breath hitched. Sophia. I reached up, fingers brushing the stubble along his jaw. It's been a long time since anyone looked at me the way you do. Even if it's pretend, it's not, he said roughly, hands settling on my waist. Not tonight. Then he kissed me slow at first, testing, then deeper when I responded. His mouth was warm, skilled, tasting of scotch and want. My hand slid into his hair as he backed me against the window. The cold glass a shock against my heated skin. He pulled back just enough to search my eyes. Tell me to stop and I will. Don't, I whispered. He lifted me effortlessly, carrying me up the stairs to his master suite, a sanctuary of dark woods and plush bedding. Moonlight spilled through skylights as clothes fell away. His body was sculpted, broad shoulders, defined abs, powerful thighs. My dress pulled on the floor, leaving me in lace lingerie the stylist had chosen. God, you're beautiful, he growled, trailing kisses down my neck between my breasts. Every touch was reverent yet hungry. I arched as his mouth found sensitive spots I'd forgotten existed, hands mapping my curves like he was memorizing them. When he finally slid inside me, it was slow, deliberate, eyes locked on mine. Pleasure built in waves, intense, overwhelming. I clung to him, nails scoring his back as release crashed over me, his name on my lips. He followed moments later, burying his face in my neck with a shudder. We lay tangled afterward. his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my skin. "This wasn't part of the deal," I murmured. "No," he agreed, voice rough, "but I don't regret it." I fell asleep in his arms, the sound of his heartbeat steady under my ear. Morning would bring reality, but for now, breathless didn't begin to cover it. I woke on Christmas Eve morning to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, and the unfamiliar weight of Damian's arm draped across my waist. For a moment I lay still, heart racing, replaying the night before. The way he'd worshipped my body with his mouth and hands. The raw need in his eyes when he'd whispered my name as he came undone. It had been intense, overwhelming, and utterly real, no pretense in those hours. He stirred behind me, lips brushing my shoulder. "Good morning," he murmured, voice husky with sleep. His hand slid up to cup my breast, thumb teasing the nipple until it hardened. I arched instinctively, a soft moan escaping. "Morning," I managed, turning to face him. His hair was tousled, stubble darker, making him look even more dangerously handsome. "We should probably talk about—" He silenced me with a slow, deep kiss that stole my breath. When he pulled back, his eyes were serious. "We will. But first, Merry Christmas Eve." Downstairs, the smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls greeted us. A chef apparently on staff had prepared breakfast. Mia was already at the island, legs swinging, chattering with the housekeeper about Santa's impending visit. She ran to me when she saw us, hugging my legs. Damian ruffled her hair affectionately, and the sight of them together squeezed something deep in my chest. After breakfast, Damian announced a surprise. Charles drove us into the city to a private holiday event. At the Space Needle's observation deck rented out exclusively for us, Mia squealed at the panoramic views, pressing her nose to the glass as snow flurries danced outside. Damian lifted her onto his shoulders so she could see better, and she giggled uncontrollably. He caught my eye over her head. "Worth every penny," he said quietly. Later, we strolled through Pike Place Market, transformed into a winter wonderland. Damian bought Mia a handcrafted wooden dollhouse and me a delicate silver necklace, with a tiny emerald pendant matching my dress from the night before, when he fastened it around my neck in the middle of the bustling market, his fingers lingering at my nape. He'd pulled low in my belly. "You didn't have to," I whispered. "I wanted to," he replied, lips brushing my ear. "You deserve beautiful things, Sophia." By afternoon, we returned home. Mia napped, exhausted from excitement. Damian led me to the home gym on the lower-level state-of-the-art space, with floor-to-ceiling mirrors and a sauna. Work off some of that cinnamon roll. He teased. We started innocently enough stretching, light weights, but proximity and lingering glances turned the air electric. He spotted me on bench presses, hands steadying the bar, eyes locked on the rise and fall of my chest in my sports bra. When I finished the set, he didn't step back. Instead, he caged me against the bench, lowering his mouth to mine in a searing kiss. Clothes came off fast, sports bra, leggings, his shirt and shorts hitting the mat. He lifted me onto the weight bench, spreading my thighs as he knelt between them. His tongue was merciless, licking and sucking until I was writhing, fingers tangled in his hair, begging. When I came, it was hard and fast, his name echoing off the mirrors. He stood, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, eyes dark with lust. "Turn over." I obeyed, gripping the bar as he entered me from behind in one smooth thrust. The angle was deep, perfect. He set a relentless pace, one hand gripping my hip, the other sliding around to circle my clit. Our reflections surrounded us, sweaty, lost in each other. I watched his face as he drove into me, the raw pleasure twisting his features. When he growled my name and pulsed inside me, I followed again, clenching around him. We collapsed onto the mat, breathing ragged. This arrangement just got complicated. I pouted. He chuckled, pulling me against his chest. Complicated looks good on us. Evening brought the next event, a larger Christmas Eve gathering with extended family and key investors. I wore a red velvet gown that hugged every curve, slit high on one thigh. Damian's reaction when I descended the stairs was predatory. "You're trying to kill me," he muttered, adjusting his tuxedo tie. The party was opulent, string quartet, champagne fountains, catered hors d'oeuvres. Mia, in a sparkly dress, was the star, charmed by cousins and aunts alike. Damian kept me close, hand at the small of my back, introducing me as the woman who changed everything. The pride in his voice felt genuine. Victoria pulled me aside near the dessert table. "I've never seen him like this," she confessed, smiling. "Relaxed. Whatever you're doing, keep it up." I smiled, but doubt flickered. How much was real? Later, under the massive Christmas tree, Damian pulled me into a shadowed alcove. Snow fell silently outside the windows. He pressed me against the wall, kissing me deeply, hands roaming under the slit of my dress. "Careful," I gasped. "People are everywhere." "Then be quiet," he whispered, fingers slipping beneath lace to find me already wet. He stroked slowly, expertly, until my knees buckled. I bit his shoulder to muffle my cry as relief shuddered through me. He straightened my dress, smirking. "Merry Christmas, Sophia." Midnight brought the family tradition, opening one gift each. Mia got new pajamas and squealed with delight. Damian handed me a small box. Inside was a key to the townhouse, already transferred into my name. My eyes filled. "You didn't have to do this now. I wanted you to know it's yours, no matter what," he said quietly. No strings. The weight of him settled heavy and warm in my chest. After guests left and Mia was tucked in, we stood on the heated terrace watching snow blanket the grounds. He wrapped a blanket around us both, arms tight around my waist. "Tell me something real," I said softly. "Why me? Truly." He was quiet a long moment, because the moment I saw your file, your determination, your love for your daughter, it hit me how empty my life was. All the money, the success, meaningless without someone to share it with. Someone real. You walked into that apartment that day, exhausted but unbroken, and I thought, there she is, the woman who could make this feel like home. Tears pricked my eyes. And the physical part? He turned me to face him. That was unexpected. But Christ, Sophia, I've wanted you since the second you opened that door in your old sweater and messy ponytail. Fire in your eyes. The arrangement was an excuse to get close. I rose on tiptoes, kissing him softly. Then let's stop pretending. Snow fell around us as the kiss deepened, gentle this time, full of promise rather than urgency. When we finally went inside, he led me to his bed again. We undressed each other slowly, reverently. This time there was no rush, no hiding. He explored every inch of me with lips and hands, whispering praises against my skin. When he entered me, it was face to face, eyes locked, moving together like we'd been doing this forever. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced the curve of my hip. "Stay," he said. "Not for the deal. For us." I pressed my face to his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Yes. Outside, Christmas morning dawned white and silent. Inside, something new had begun, something that left me utterly, completely breathless. Christmas morning dawned bright and magical. Mia tore through the living room like a whirlwind, shrieking with joy at the mountain of presents under the tree, far more than I'd ever been able to provide. Damian sat cross-legged on the floor in sweatpants and a t-shirt, helping her assemble a massive Lego castle, his deep laugh mixing with her giggles. I watched from the doorway, coffee mug warm in my hands, throat tight with emotion I couldn't name. He caught my eye and smiled that slow, devastating smile that made my knees weak. "Come join us, beautiful." I did, curling up beside him as Mia directed us both like a tiny general. Later, we built a snowman in the backyard, Damian lifting Mia so she could place the carrot nose while I snapped photos. His gloved hand found mine as we watched her dance on her creation, and he squeezed once silent reassurance that this was real. The days between Christmas and New Year's blurred into a dream, mornings with lazy breakfasts, afternoons exploring the property or driving into the city for hot chocolate and lights. Nights were ours. Some evenings we'd put Mia to bed early and lose ourselves in each other slow and tender in front of the fireplace, or urgent and desperate against the shower wall, water cascading over us as he pinned my wrists above my head. He was insatiable, yet attentive, learning every sound I made, every spot that made me tremble. One night he laid me out on the kitchen island after Mia was asleep, drizzling warm chocolate sauce across my breasts and licking it off slowly until I begged. Another time he woke me in the dark with his mouth between my thighs, bringing me to a shattering climax before sliding inside me from behind, hand over my mouth to muffle my cries. But it wasn't just physical. We truly talked. Over glasses of wine on the terrace, he told me about growing up in a cold, ambitious family where love was conditional on success. How he'd built his empire to prove himself, only to realize it left him hollow. I shared my own scars, the ex who left when Mia was 6 months old, the years of scraping by, the fear that I'd never be enough for my daughter. "You're more than enough," he said fiercely one night, cupping my face. "You're everything."